Hello Year 6. Today I'm going to introduce you to our new class text, Wonder. I have read this book several times and I find it incredibly emotive, but also one that I can really relate to, as I'm sure you will be able to as well. I'm just going to read the blurb at the back. My name is August. I won't describe what I look like. Whatever you're thinking, it's probably worse. So just reading that, not only do I feel incredibly sorry for him, but I definitely want to read on to find out what happens. And the first chapter is called Ordinary. I know I'm not an ordinary 10-year-old kid. I mean, sure, I do ordinary things. I eat ice cream, I ride my bike, I play ball, I have an Xbox. Stuff like that makes me ordinary, I guess. And I feel ordinary inside, but I know ordinary kids don't make other ordinary kids run away screaming in playgrounds. I know ordinary kids don't get stared at wherever they go. If I found a magic lamp and I could have one wish, I would wish that I had a normal face that no one ever noticed at all. I would wish that I could walk down the street without people seeing me and then doing that look away thing. Here's what I think. The only reason I'm not ordinary is that no one else sees me that way. But I'm kind of used to how I look by now. I know how to pretend I don't see the faces people make. We've all gotten pretty good at that sort of thing. Me, Mum, Dad, Via. Actually, I take that back. Via is not so good at it. She can get really annoyed when people do something rude. Like, for instance, one time in the playground, some older kids made some noises. I don't even know what the noises were exactly because I didn't hear them myself, but Via heard and she just started yelling at the kids. That's the way she is. I'm not that way. Via doesn't see me as ordinary. She says she does, but if I were ordinary, she wouldn't feel like she needs to protect me as much. And Mum and Dad don't see me as ordinary either. They see me as extraordinary. I think the only person in the world who realises how ordinary I am is me. My name is August, by the way. I won't describe what I look like. Whatever you're thinking, it's probably worse. Why I didn't go to school. Next week I start 5th grade. Since I've never been to a real school before, I'm pretty much totally and completely petrified. People think I haven't gone to school because of the way I look, but it's not that. It's because of all the surgeries I've had. 27 since I've been born. The biggest ones happened before I was even 4 years old, so I don't remember those. But I've had 2 or 3 surgeries every year since then, some big and some small. And because I'm little for my age, I've had some other medical mysteries that doctors never really figured out. I used to get sick a lot. That's why my parents decided it was better if I didn't go to school. I'm much stronger now though. The last surgery I had was 8 months ago, and I probably won't have to have any more for a couple of years. Mum homeschools me. She used to be a children's book illustrator. She draws really great fairies and mermaids. Her boy stuff isn't so hot though. She once tried to draw me a Darth Vader, but it ended up looking like some weird mushroom-shaped robot. I haven't seen her draw anything in a long time. I think she's too busy taking care of me and Via. I can't say I always wanted to go to school because that wouldn't be exactly true. What I wanted was to go to school, but only if I could be like every other kid going to that school. Have lots of friends and hang out after school, stuff like that. I have a few really good friends now. Christopher is my best friend, followed by Zachary and Alex. We've known each other since we were babies, and since they've always known me the way I am, they're used to me. When we were little, we used to have play dates all the time, but then Christopher moved to Bridgeport in Connecticut. That's more than half an hour away from where I live in North River Heights, which is at the top tip of Manhattan, and Zachary and Alex started going to school. It's funny, even though Christopher is the one who moved far away, I still see him more than I see Zachary and Alex. They all have these new friends now. If we bump into each other on the street, they're still nice to me though. They always say hello. I have other friends too, but not as good as Christopher and Zach and Alex were. For instance, Zach and Alex always invited me to their birthday parties when we were little, but Joel and Emma and Gabe never did. Emma invited me once, but I haven't seen her in a long time, and of course, I always go to Christopher's birthday. Maybe I'm making too big a deal about birthday parties. How I came to life. I like when Mum tells the story because it makes me laugh so much. It's not funny in the way a joke is funny, but when Mum and Via tell it, I just can't help but cracking up. So when I was in my mum's stomach, no one had any idea I would come out looking the way I look. Mum had Via 4 years before, and that had been such a walk in the park that there was no reason to run any special tests. About 2 months before I was born, the doctors realised there was something wrong with my face, but they didn't think it was going to be bad. They told Mum and Dad I had a cleft palate and some other stuff going on. They called it small anomalies. There were 2 nurses in the delivery room the night I was born. One was very nice and sweet. The other one, Mum said, did not seem nice and sweet at all. She had very big arms. And here comes the funny part. She kept farting. Like, she'd bring Mum some ice chips and then fart. She'd check Mum's blood pressure and fart. Mum said it was unbelievable because the nurse never even said excuse me. Meanwhile, Mum's regular doctor wasn't on duty that night, so Mum got stuck with this cranky kid doctor she and Dad nicknamed Doogie after some old TV show or something. They didn't actually call him that to his face though. But Mum says that even though everyone in the room was kind of grumpy, Dad kept making her laugh all night long. When I came out of Mum's stomach, she said the whole room got very quiet. Mum didn't even get a chance to look at me because the nice nurse immediately rushed me out of the room. Dad was in such a hurry to follow that he had dropped the video camera, which broke into a million pieces. And then Mum got very upset and tried to get out of bed to see where they were going, but the farting nurse put her very big arms on Mum to keep her down in the bed. They were practically fighting because Mum was hysterical and the farting nurse was yelling at her to stay calm. And then they both started screaming for the doctor. But guess what? He'd fainted right on the floor. So when the farting nurse saw that he'd fainted, she started pushing him with her foot to get him to wake up, yelling at him the whole time. "What kind of doctor are you? What kind of doctor are you? Get up, get up!" And then all of a sudden, she let out the biggest, loudest, smelliest fart in the history of farts. Mum thinks it was actually the fart that finally woke the doctor up. Anyway, when Mum tells this story, she acts out all the parts, including the farting noises, and it is so funny. Mum says the farting nurse turned out to be a very nice woman. She stayed with Mum the whole time, didn't leave her side even after Dad came back and the doctors told them how sick I was. Mum remembers exactly what the nurse whispered in her ear when the doctor told her I probably wouldn't live through the night. "Everyone born of God overcometh the world." And the next day I had lived through the night. It was that nurse who had held Mum's hand when they brought her to meet me for the first time. Mum says by then they had told her all about me. She had been preparing herself for the seeing of me. But she says that when she looked down into my tiny mushed up face for the first time, all she could see was how pretty my eyes were. Mum is beautiful, by the way, and Dad is handsome. Via is pretty, in case you were wondering.